The Curse of the Map, Part 2. The awakening. Jacob awoke to a biting cold and a throbbing pain in his head. He wasn't in the dark cave, but lying on a damp, rocky ground, surrounded by thick fog. The cursed map was gone from his hand. He felt incredibly weak, as if all his energy had been drained. But he felt a presence, a subtle pressure in the air, and faint whispers echoing in his ears. The whispers weren't angry now, they were sorrowful, filled with despair. He tried to recall what had happened. The hazy forms. The altar. The cold hands. The scream of terror. Then, the void. The fog was so dense he couldn't see more than a few meters ahead. Jacob struggled to his feet, his body aching. Jacob began to walk, aimlessly, hoping to find a way out of this hell. They weren't trying to harm him, they were trying to warn him. And the only way back is to give it what it took from you. With every step, he felt as if something was watching him from within the fog. It was an ancient sound filled with rage. You saw, you know. Now you are ours. He heard faint footsteps following him, but saw nothing. It wasn't just a haunted place. It was an ancient being that fed on trapped souls. After a while, Jacob reached the edge of a chasm. The hazy forms advanced, and the whispers filled his mind. He had no choice. He had to confront the entity. He looked down, but the fog obscured the bottom. He didn't know what it was, but it was now glowing with a faint blue light. It looked like an ancient compass, but it didn't point north, it pointed to something else. He felt dizzy. Suddenly, he saw something floating in the fog below him. They were faces, human faces. Pale, eyes vacant, slowly drifting in the air, in a desperate move. He raised the artifact towards the forms. He no longer saw the pale faces, but a swirling vortex of blue light in the depths. The artifact vibrated violently in his hand. But he felt a void in his soul, as if a part of him had been ripped away. No more voices from the past echoed through the town. But the locals spoke of the young explorer who came and went, and of the strange calm that had settled over the valley. Jacob heard one last scream, a cry of pain and rage, then an oppressive silence fell. He now knew that some legends should remain dormant, and some places should remain unexplored. But he carried with him the memory of Shadow Valley, a reminder of the horror he faced, and the courage he found within himself. The hazy forms screamed and retreated, clearing a path for him. The forms shrieked, recoiling as if the light pained them. He remembered his passion for adventure, his unending curiosity, his belief in logic, all that had diminished, replaced by fear. Jacob screamed, and with a final surge of strength, he threw the artifact into the chasm. The fog began to move rapidly, revealing gigantic, hazy forms appearing from all directions. The forms were the same ones he had seen in the cave, featureless, but now larger and more menacing. The faces whispered, but he couldn't understand the words. Jacob realized these were the trapped souls, the victims of the cursed map. Jacob remembered a part of the legend. The map doesn't lead you to treasure, but to what it has taken. What had the map taken from him? It hadn't taken anything material. Jacob realized the map had taken his passion, his courage, his faith. Suddenly, the whispers grew stronger, turning into screams. Jacob heard a deep sound, not a whisper, but a resonant hum coming from the depths of the chasm. Jacob realized that the entity dwelling in Shadow Valley had fully awakened. In a moment of despair, Jacob remembered another phrase from the legend. The map cannot be destroyed, but it can be returned to its source. Jacob looked at the chasm. From his bag, Jacob pulled out a small artifact he had found with the map. Suddenly, the hazy forms lunged at him. Jacob jumped back, evading their cold hands. A beam of bright blue light shot from the artifact, piercing the fog and striking the hazy forms. Jacob realized this artifact was the key. It wasn't to destroy the entity, but to return it to its place. Jacob began to walk towards the chasm, holding the artifact that was now emitting the blue light. When he reached the edge of the chasm, Jacob looked down. "This is your place." There were no more whispers. A brilliant blue light erupted from the chasm, engulfing the hazy forms and the thick fog, but he knew he had fulfilled his promise. The fog slowly dissipated, revealing Shadow Valley. The mountains were still majestic, the trees still intertwined. But the air was no longer heavy. Jacob returned to the town. He was exhausted, but he was alive. He never found the cursed map again. In Grimwood, the phenomenon of the last echo disappeared. As for Jacob, he regained his passion for adventure, but he no longer sought legends in the same way.